İlk panelimizle devam edeceğiz. Tasarımın dünyadaki gücü ve etkilerini konuşmak üzere World Design Organization Başkanı WDO Srini Srinivasan ve WDO Yönetim Kurulu üyesi ve ETMK Başkanı Sayın Sertaç Ersayın bizlerle beraber olacak. Lütfen alkışlar eşliğinde kendilerini davet edelim. Mr. Srinivasan, Mr. Ersayın, we would like to invite you to the stage to start our panel. Hoş geldiniz. Nasılsınız Sayın Ersayın? Mr. Srinivasan. When you're ready, sir. Hello, how are you? Good morning, how are you? I would like to shake your hand. Is it okay? Thank you very much. Please have a seat. Please have a seat. Efendim alkışlarla başlayalım mı? Ne dersiniz? Ama
nasıl okumak istersin?
şöyle öncelikle ricam.
I don't know. How do you prefer?
Efendim sizlerden ricam bir an önce değerli misafirlerimiz yerlerimizi alalım. Çok kıymetli misafirlerimiz bizlerle beraber panelimizi başlatacağız. Hazır mıyız gençler? İşte bu. Did you see our young generation? Hey! Mr. Srinivasan.
Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you. It's a pleasure for me.
First of all,
Hoş
can you
geldiniz.
please show us your socks? Bakar mısınız Srinivasan'ın? I loved it. I loved it. It's wonderful, colorful. You light up our day. Thank you very
Absolutely.
much for joining us. How are you?
Doing very good.
How is your day?
Day has been great. I think it's always great to see, first of all, it's great to see the young designers, young people, because they are the future of the world.
Is this your first time in here, by the way?
No, this is the sixth time, and
Sixth time.
I love Istanbul, so I love to come. Despite all challenges, I will come.
I see. Where do you base? Where do you live, actually?
I live in San Francisco area.
Ah, that's fine.
And it's a good flight. But to come to Istanbul. So.
A long flight,
Long
but everything
but
goes
good flight,
okay.
so.
So let's start with WDO. Can you please tell us about WDO?
WDO is the global organization that promotes the industrial design, and also it works with the membership. It's a membership-based organization that promotes different faculties of design. At the same time, in 2015, we also adopted the UN Sustainable Development Goals, because we, as designers, we are also responsible for many of the problems that we are creating through our design. And we want to educate our members throughout the globe how to make design more sustainable and continue to build a world for the generations to come. So that's what we do, and we are a program-based entity, and we are based in over 40 countries, and we have 180 plus members. And through this membership, we are going to be talking to the future. About 400,000 people are currently involved with WDO in various aspects.
Sustainability, what an important topic, especially
Absolutely.
last few years, right, Hakan?
Yes, actually, you are right. And welcome back to our Design Week Turkey panel. And thank you, Oylum, my dear friend Oylum Talu. It's a pleasure for me to be with you again here in this panel. Gençler tekrar merhaba. Duyabiliyor musunuz oradan?
Bu arada, by the way, I would like to ask a question to our young generation. Arkadaşlar, soru sormak isteyecek misiniz Srini Srinivasan'a? Ona göre bir mikrofon getirmelerini rica edeceğim size doğru. Şöyle yapın ya da böyle. Evet, soru. They would like to ask you a few questions after our panel, if it's
sorunuzu
okay.
Türkçe de sorabilirsiniz, İngilizce de. Nasıl rahat edersiniz? İki türlü de olur. Rahat edin lütfen. Siz de katılmak isterseniz, ama ben önce Sayın Oylumcuğum, Sayın Ersayın'a bir soru sorayım istersen.
Buyurun.
Oradan genç arkadaşlar düşünürlerken, and welcome back again. Mr. Sertaç Ersayın, actually there have been many important developments in the field of design in Turkey in recent years. What would you like to tell us about evaluating the developments, in recent developments?
Yes, I think we have to look back in last 20-25 years because there are huge and important developments in the manufacturing part, at the academic part, and the society's part. Because these three stakeholders are very important. If they come back together and proceed together, there's a meaning. If you check the countries in G20 list in front of us, if we check that, we see that there is a huge concentration on this topic 70 years ago. They started to organize their design councils, design promotion centers. They are related to the development programs of the countries and the strategies. When we look at the Turkey part, we see that in last 20-25 years, important developments. Number one is the integration to the design and the export facilities and also the manufacturing part. Design has an important role at the value chain link, such as innovation, brand, R&D, and design. But especially worldwide, in the last 15 years, maybe Srini can join me in that perspective, design has a wider perspective and a meaning. It's not only designing and developing a product, it's the developing, enlarging the meaning of the product. Behind the product, it's a system. Then we can add the UX and other things. So it also happened in Turkey. In some categories, for the business-wise, we are really in front of the, let's say, the happenings in the country. Some are following. That I'm not going to mention the business areas, not to be in the confusion with them. I mean, but I can tell you at least electronics and white goods and the durable goods one is very ahead. And the office furnitures are really proceeding. And the home categories are still, developing, let's say. So what happened? The academic life, now we have more or less 34 universities and 29 have a bachelor degrees at the moment. We do have our own young, well-educated designers. This is very good, more than 1,000 per year. When we look at the creative industries part, we do have between 5,000 and 6,000 young graduates coming from the local universities. And another thing, the international and local design competitions which are organized by the Exporters Assembly and also Design Turkey, which is organized by Turkish Exporters Assembly, the Ticaret Bakanlığı, and also Industrial Society of Turkey. These two stakeholders are joined together. So this is the real development in last 20 years. The strong manufacturing industry, strong export facilities, and the upcoming strategies are linked to also design and innovation part. That's what I see, and that's what I want to share with you for a moment.
Thank you for this important answer and analyze. I'm sure we will have also very successful and talented future designers among this group of young friends. We will see them.
Hello.
Ben bu arada rejiden tekrar isim animasyonlarını gösterirlerse hem yeni gelen salona yeni gelenler hem de fotoğraf çeken arkadaşımız bakımından salonda kimlerin bulunduğunu, bu panelde kimlerin bulunduğunu göstermek bakımından faydalı olur diye düşündüm. Bu panelde Sayın Sertaç Ersayın'la az önce ben bir soru sormuştum. Kendisi yanıt vermişti ve sevgili Oylum Talu'nun da sorusunu yönelttiği ismin de burada arkada isim animasyonunda kim olduğunu görebilirsiniz. Oylum,
Well,
please.
you're the board member of WDO and you're the head of organization. How do we collaborate as WDO and WDO Turkey? How do we collaborate? Let's start with you. How do you see Turkey from your point of view as WDO, and how do we collaborate?
Yeah, I think WDO is a global organization. So we have learned in the last 60 years how to work globally. And pre-pandemic and post-pandemic, I'll give you the answers. So the pre-pandemic, we meet once in 3 months in a different city, deliberately, Not that we want to travel, but we want to engage with the local design community. So you go to different parts of the world to be able to learn what is happening in that area, and how can we connect through design. I was very happy to hear earlier in the guests, were speaking about design and how design is helping the exporters to make Turkey the number 7th, in the world in terms of export. So design is a very important catalyst between industry and also education and also the city government. So that's what we do in our programs. We have several programs, that connects people together. And like Turkey has been always associated with World Design Organization through the membership as well as through elected board members. Like for example, Sertaç is the elected board member for this term. And we have always had somebody or the other from Turkey involved with the decision-making process. So we meet, every 3 months and conduct the business. And beyond the board meetings, we also engage with the global community through design events in different parts. We went to Izmir. We have had an event a few years back. We have come to Istanbul several times to do a lot of design. Come the pandemic, and we quickly swung into action as early as April of 2020, when the world shut down on March 17th, 2020. So we quickly swung into action, and we created, the problem was COVID-19 awareness. Everybody was scared. They didn't know what to do. How can I meet my grandfather or grandmother? How can I engage with my family and friends? That was the biggest challenge. So we worked with IBM and Design for America, and we brought like 350 people from 32 countries over a 2-week period, everything digital. And I'm happy to share that several of the Turkish young designers and non-designers participated in that event as well. And we did not stop from there. So we've been having monthly board meetings instead of once in 3 to 4 months. We had monthly board meetings. For some people, it will be
Zoom meetings, right?
Zoom meetings.
Zoom meetings, of course.
Zoom meetings, and for some people in the world, it will be 3 a.m. For some people, it will be like midnight. So we were able to hold meetings, and I'm happy to share that we did not stop working as an entity, because as designers, we need to be more creative. We need to do what we are selected and elected to be doing,
right.
And we were able to do many, many, many more events during the pandemic. So I'm very proud that as a global organization, we did not leave our community aside. We embraced them, we worked with them, and we created much more events than what we have done in the pre-pandemic years.
How about you, Mr. Ersayın? What would you like to say?
Oh, there is a real diversity behind the WDO, and nearly we do have Srini 205 or 200 members, something like that, globally, and it is nearly 70 years old. It's the biggest and the top of the top umbrella design initiative. The thing is, what we learn from there, I mean, we do have all our own expertise. The sharing is very important. We have to bring our expertise to the board, and also we do need to learn a lot of things from the other board members and also the members of WDO. Maybe we can talk about our membership status, Srini. Would you like to jump on this?
Absolutely. So as we are the membership, another important thing that we did was we included all of these young designers. So we started a program called the Young Designer Circle, because most of the time design means, you have to be baldy guys and, maybe white hairs and, that kind of stuff. We want to change that to engage youngsters, because the world belongs to the future generations or people who are below 30. Every country has youngsters, but they typically think, I don't know, this is all the old people's club, they don't want to come. But we want you to come and look at what we do at WDO and take active participation so that you can sustain the world for yourself and future generations.
What can they do?
So they can
Let's
participate.
Let's be specific.
Absolutely.
How can they join?
So if they are designing something, they should keep in mind the sustainability. They should look at the material that they are using. They should not design for awards. Of course, it's a wrong thing to say in a design award scenario. But they should design things that can be taking into account the circularity aspect of it, where you source the material, what kind of material that you are using in your design, how can it benefit the community at large? As I said, designers do good and bad. We have done a lot of bad in the past, the older generation of designers. But design also has the power to change through another design. So that's what we need to do in terms of the material choice, and don't do excessive design. You do the design which is more effective so that we maintain the Mother Earth for future generations. And that is in your hands. Don't follow somebody else who did something, and you should change it. If you feel there is a need to change it. Take control of the world, because you have the power to control. That's what I tell throughout my visits in different parts of the world. How can we engage young designers circle? And so what we did was, in 2017, we told all the members of our association to bring one other person, but that person should be below 35 years. So we don't want the president of the company and the vice president of the company to come, because it's party time, but we wanted the young designers to come along with the senior member, so that we can get them to know what the organization is all about. If you really look at it today, I was very happy to see at the Design Week Turkey, there's a beautiful board out there and a program of what WDO does. Other program that we do is the World Design Impact Prize. And in the recent edition that we announced recently, the winner is a very young designer who actually created a mobile recycling plant called the Trash Presso from Taiwan. So it won the award from an eminent jury, independent jury. And the young designers are thinking, what can we do? Unlike during our time, we don't really think like, okay, but now the youngsters are looking at what material is there. How can we do better? When you buy a product, the first thing look at it, what are the material that is there? So I think that is what, if you encourage and create, that's what the world will become a better place. And our motto is creating a better world by engaging everybody, not just the youngsters, but youngsters have a very strong voice to come and play a big role.
Can you repeat the motto, please, once again?
Creating a better world is the motto of World Design Organization.
Wow,
Yes.
that's very good. That's a very good motto. What do you think, guys?
Yes, thank you again, and I would like to ask another question to Mr. Srinivasan. But before this, maybe we can get any additional questions or comments or any kind of contribution from our youngsters, young friends, possible future designers. Arkadaşlar, herhangi bir katkı, bir soru yöneltmek ister misiniz? Galiba en arkada bir arkadaşımız elini kaldırıyor. Oraya mikrofon uzanıyor mu, yoksa doğal sesiyle, güçlü sesiyle duyar mıyız biz buradan o arkadaş? Buyurun. Geliyor. Aslanlar gibi. Dizayn kelimesi ne ifade ediyor diye. Yanlış duymuyorum değil mi? Onu mu sordunuz? Beyefendiye mi soruyorsunuz? İkisine de.
How would you describe the word design?
In general.
Me or me?
Both of you.
Both of
I start. Okay.
Both of you.
I start.
Sertaç Bey'le başlayalım.
What do you think design is?
In Turkish or English? I don't know.
Turkish, it's impossible
How do
to
you like?
Turkish.
Maybe both. It starts from an idea till goes on the experience of the solution of the system or a product. So it's not only a 3D object. The need starts from a need. How do you reply to need? It's up to your problem. So you do have critical thresholds between all these cycles. You have to make some decisions. This is the idea, conceptualization, business-wise integration, and the planet, ecosystem, sustainability, manufacturing skills, what kind of metals are you going to use, and also you are becoming a natural ambassadors of all the SDGs and sustainability issues, because you are one of the decision makers and bringing your ideas to the table, which is going to be manufactured in the near future, something like that. Türkçesi de hızlısı şu: bir fikirle başlayan ve en sonunda da bir iş modeli içerisinde deneyimle, nihai kullanıcısıyla buluşan aslında o kritik süreçlerin tamamını biz bir tasarım süreci olarak görüyoruz. Sadece bir ürünü yapıp ortaya koyup çekilmek değil, ihtiyacı gidereceği problemle bütün sürecin bittiği ve deneyimlendiği ana kadar giden o anın tamamı için bir model kuruyoruz. Maybe you can go on.
Yeah, so design is actually problem solving. It's a solving problem, and design is also a catalyst between satisfying the human needs and a product or service. So that's what design in simpler terms. And all of you are studying design, you would have heard different definitions, but it's nothing but a problem solving mechanism.
So, how did design criteria change after pandemic?
I think the design criteria changed. I have been working with several universities who are teaching design around the globe. The first thing that we did, there are different branches of design. So if you look at the product design, which is mostly important for us, we have been involved with several products. The first and foremost thing was, previously the designers were lesser of technology, mostly in creativity. Like, how can I add the color? How can I do the form factor? How can I, imagine things? They were not engineers. We always say the right side brain and left side brain. If you are a designer, then you are not knowing much about technology. But during the pandemic, we learned, sometimes forcefully, sometimes willingly, about technology. The fact that you learned how to do a Zoom call, how to connect a PowerPoint, how to show PowerPoint. We struggled in the beginning, right? So that's what really changed in the definition of design during the pandemic, where people are able to or forced to learn technology first. And secondly, they were always used to, let me run to the lab to do something, No longer there is a lab, because you are not allowed to leave the four walls of your room, and you are tied to this large computer or a small computer or a cell phone. That's what you are forced to use. So you start, as designers have the power to imagine, you start imagining, how else can I do this if I'm not able to go to the 3D printer lab? How else can I do that? And different schools have done differently. In one of the schools where I was involved, I'm still involved, it's a fashion design school. And if you tell a fashion designer, I see a lot of fashion design displays out there.
Yeah.
If you do not help a fashion designer with the tool to cut and sew, they're not going to make a beautiful dress that you're wearing. So how can we do this, right? So the idea was to see, we can imagine all kinds of things and we can use our paper and do the cutting, but we need to sew. Not every student, every parent can afford a sewing machine in their house. But the school did a fantastic thing of buying a sewing machine and shipping it to their homes. So now you have the tool, you have the lab in your house, so you can do whatever you want to do. The same, you can't do everything for engineering design, maybe you won't be able to do, but we need to be very creative, and that's what learned during the pandemic, how design is evolved. And it's not going to change. And the way of, like for example, I run a design studio based in multiple locations. What I did was, immediately I said, don't come to the office. If you're coming to the office, only one person can be there. So that we avoid, in the social distancing and all the parameters can be met. And then we do extra cleaning. We became more clean in the environment. And we made sure that, we do more homework before we come to the lab work. So I think the approach to design has changed. In the previous times, as a product designer, the first step was immediately go to the lab and take a little form and sort of doing the form factor to see how does the product look, whether it's a blender or a cup of, teacup or whatever. But that nearly had changed in terms of thinking and clarifying in your mind first before you have the chance to narrow that wind back and go and do some things.
Would you like to add anything, Mr. Ersayın?
Yes, I think, Srini, we also have remembered the importance of the magic R's. I mean, retake, reuse, repair. They are the part of the circular economy. So it seemed that, I mean, it's a little bit of kind of paradigm, but we are manufacturing millions, but at the end there's a pollution that we do only have one planet. So maybe instead of manufacturing millions, we do have to organize and develop long-term relationships with the products and services. That's one of the things. And also being local is becoming much more important when we talk about the supply chain problems after COVID-19. So these are the things, I mean, we can talk more on this topic, but these are the critical criteria for me, the magic hours and the circular economy, and to save the planet more.
From now on, it's going to be like this, right? We're not going to go back.
We are not going to, in
Everything's
my
changed.
opinion, we are not going to go back to the same level that we were doing. It's going to be a hybrid. I think one of the benefits or problems, depending on which side you look at it, the benefits are as an employee or as a designer working for a company, now we've got the luxury of working when we want to work. And that does not mean that you are working less. Most of us will agree that during the pandemic, we worked more hours than what we did in the previous era. But there's a huge difference. At 2:30, you can see people in the grocery store buying milk and bread and eggs and meat and other products, which was not the case. It's also easy now to see working moms with the children in the background, crying, Mom, I want this or whatever. And we see moms handing out like candies, to keep them quiet so that they are continuing on the Zoom calls. So we adopted ourselves, to actually the life and work mingle together, as opposed to previously we were shut into a work environment. You go to the office at 9. For going to office in 9, unfortunately in a city like Istanbul, you need to leave your house at 7 o'clock to be able to get to a place. Those 2 hours, you're only doing maybe WhatsApp or Instagram or whatever, but we don't really focus on work. But now, those 2 hours are with you. If you're used to getting up early, you can start working and have that little in-between time to take care of your other parts of it. So now the companies will have a tough time to bring people. If you really look at the recent announcement by Google, all the 140,000 people, they are going to be indefinitely working from home.
Yeah, that's right.
So I think because of the way the production has not stopped, Google's stock price has not gone down because their productivity is still high. That's what we are learning, how to bring the wholesome of family and business and friendship and everything together. So in a way, this is good. Production is not stopped. So I think this will be the way going forward. Maybe all of us are missing. I was not traveling. I used to travel 270 days in a year. And
really?
Yes.
Oh my God.
So, and when there was absolutely no travel, it was always tough, on a single day I'm traveling, 6 countries, in Zoom, like, morning 4 a.m., to evening 10 o'clock, 12 o'clock. But then when the first opportunity came earlier in this year, I was really longing to meet people, to interact, to see that aspect of the human need will not change. Despite the technology, it will not change. So, but you'll meet people because you want to meet people rather than forced to go to the office. So that is the best element of the post-pandemic design, or any work for that matter, just not design, any work environment.
I see.
At this time, I would like to ask a question from a different subject about cars and transportation vehicles. Yeah, actually, I understand why airplanes and ships have a certain shape, because they have to cope with the waves, or in certain rules of aerodynamics, they have to comfortably and safely fly. So they have to have a sort of a certain shape. But when we look at the cars, in the 50s and the 60s, in the golden age, we were enjoying and seeing a different, beautiful shapes of cars in the United States, in Japan, in Europe. So each company, each brand had a different identity. But when we look at since 90s and let's say in last 20 years, including major brands, major manufacturers, they started to manufacture, produce and design identical cars. B size, C size, D, and I'm talking about the scales of the cars. They look like very similar. So you can easily recognize the car, but I think this approach little bit erased the taste, because as a customer side, I don't know what Oylum think about that. I would like to see different shapes, different creativity of the designers. Why companies or the designers follow this matrushka style in car business? What do you think? I would like to ask this question, both of you. Do you have an idea?
Sure. Yeah, I think, it's an interesting question. If you look at the evolution of luxury that was there in the previous years, cars were something that people normally did not afford. There is an affordability. It is also considered a prized possession. So if you have a Cadillac, it also gave a status. So for the average people working on a day-to-day middle class, it was impossible to get a car for transportation. So therefore, the design, if they had to, so what was the best way? And then the affordability of filling gas into your automobile. Gas was also cheaper at that time. As people, even the cheapest gas people could not afford, because the salaries, the per capita income was, below $100 in many, many parts of the world. Every month you get $100, you have to feed, 4 or 6 or 7, 8 mouths, because, we had larger families and we were only one person working most of the time, and it was impossible to even afford a powered two-wheeler. Forget car, right? You could only afford a bicycle in those days. So when you move from that time to affording a car, some of the car manufacturers initially thought like, maybe, if I cut the price, and the cars were only sold maybe 200 cars in a year. But they wanted to increase the production. They can no way. Today I give an example. How many Porsches are there in the market? How many Ferraris are there in the market? Can everybody afford a Ferrari car today? That's the answer. So they said, how can we take advantage of the technology and optimization? The cost optimization really gave in to the design aspect of it, right? They did not want to have a very embellished design. It did not meet the purpose of a car. It only gave a beautiful aesthetic value and a prestige value to show that I am the biggest don in this town, right? And that is kind of changed over a period of time, because the car companies, if you are again, now coming to the industry, return on investments. Why did the minister say we're going to increase the export value from $1.5 per kg to $2 per kg? Why? Because there are investors who put the money, they want the return on their investment. So therefore, you need to increase the same luxury car if you are able to, if you can sell instead of, 200 cars per year, the Porsche in this city, to 2,000, they will love it. But how many people can afford that car at, $150,000? That really drove the car industry to making simpler cars, and the Japanese led that by bringing a very simple, efficient car in terms of fuel economy. And that eventually the American companies, like I used to own an American car, but then slowly switched, because it's all coming into, like, you go to fill up a oil change, then it's $60. Whereas you go to other car, it's only $30. Overall, the affordability and maintainability of an automobile gradually became very standard. So if I know that I can make a standard design and I compete with you by reducing price by 2%, then I want to get into that. I don't want to spend more time to design a bigger car so that I don't win your share of the market. So this is what drove the car industry, and this also killed the car industry, because at some point in time people were really competing on price. Can you imagine buying a car for $7,000? Today you can buy a car for $7,000, brand new car, but it's a small car. That's what, from my opinion, it drove the industry to become more standardized. And then the cost of manufacturing, right? You buy all the shells from one company, maybe manufactured in Istanbul, or manufactured in Mexico, or manufactured somewhere else in the world. Then you started getting that, and then just putting the bells and whistles. The lights are changed. When you press the brake, the light becomes rectangle in the back, or it becomes circle, and there's a little bit of things. That's the only differentiator that all the designers could do, because there's nothing you can change. So that's what drove, in my opinion. So
Thank you, sir.
Yes, but I like the question. When we check the mid of 50s and 60s cars, they are totally different, colorful. Shapes are much more organic. They do have their own more or less unique DNA and design language. Those were the days. But standardization and industrialization, I think, brought the system to make optimized solutions. That's the thing, and the consolidations are still going on. But I want to go on where you leave the subject. The new cars are becoming, let's say, an experience or boxes or enjoyable boxes. You're listening to music, you do, they have strong interfaces with audio, music, and other systems. You like the color, something like that. But I think, as far as I see, they do invest a lot interior designer and the inner part of the cars. Interior of the cars, because the experience will keep going on in the cars. So that's a new paradigm. Are we going to buy a car which we like the design-wise, the very well finished and stylings are very optimized and nice cars, or are we going to buy a car when we have a maximum efficiency or maximum experience, which makes me feel someone who is having fun, something like that. It's another thing, and it goes to the second way, I believe that.
Absolutely.
Starting from the e-cars, because it's much more easy to integrate the more than 20-25 inner parts. So let's see the future together. But I agree with you. I'm also looking for the colorful, which can be personalized, much more having
Attractive.
unique design DNAs, and yes, and attractive. And maybe we can build up a strong relationships with that kind of cars more.
Mr. Ersayın, do you pay more attention interior design than exterior design? What's
Personally,
your personal
me, I
taste?
pay more
Interior.
interior.
Yours? How was yours?
I look at comfort because I'm going to ask, how many of you do not have a cell phone?
None of them. None of
Come on.
None of
I
us.
want at least one hand. How many of you do not have?
Cep telefonu olmayan var mı arkadaşlar aranızda? Sahip olmadı.
You might have forgotten to bring it today, but how many of you do not possess a cell phone?
No, everybody has.
See? So we have become almost addicted to technology, and we have become so much dependent on technology. So therefore it is impossible for us to give up. Why do we need a cell phone? Because it gives you better user experience to communicate, to talk, to write things, to take a picture. All of these is what we are bringing into the new devices. So the aesthetics that we talked about in the yesteryears has given birth to more user-focused, user-centric, and convenience factor. See, we are all almost, addicted to convenience. If you have something, you are not happy. And human mind nothing has changed over millions of years. The human mind is always greedy. If you have A, you want B. If you have B, you want C. If you have C, you want D. It's never ending. And that's not going to change. And that also is good for the designers because we can forecast what they will want. After E, there will be F or, that's how we can produce new products. But we cannot forget the convenience aspect. Those are the products that were very good. Some of them won awards. They don't succeed in business because the convenience was not seen by the people who did not judge the product.
Oylum,
So after
for
your
you,
words,
by the way, for you, is exterior design is more important than interior?
both, equally.
Equally.
How about you? I think exterior, Hakan. for you? What do you think? Because you know, I know him very well. He loves the design. He loves the touches, small goods.
Texture.
What do you think?
It's a very good question, but I think the identity evaluates by the exterior design. You can, because you recognize the car and you fall in love, or you know, some cars and some designs, love or hate approach. You like it or you never like
Absolutely.
it. But I think exterior is 60 and interior is 40. But of course, if you live in like a big city like London, let's say Rome and Istanbul, you spend 90% of all your time inside the car,
That's
stuck
right.
in the car, so interior becomes very important. You have to be more comfortable, you know, enjoyable, with a nice music system and good quality of air conditioning. Prevents you from the viruses, bacteria, if possible,
Yes.
with the technology. Yes.
So we have many young designers among us. I would like to ask this question, especially after your words. How would you describe sustainable, good design?
There are many answers to this, right? Sustainable good design would be something that, you know, where you paid attention to what can be reused in terms of, it depends on what you're designing. So give me an example, then I can be more
For
elaborate.
example, orange squeezer.
Orange
Squeezer.
squeezer. Orange
You know the
squeezer-
Alessi's
Yeah.
specific orange squeezer.
See,
And
I have
iconic.
like a lot of bad experience with orange squeezers from very top brands, so I'm not going to name them. But when I look at the orange squeezer, I've seen in some of the restaurants where, you know, or in the hotels where I've stayed, to me the best orange squeezer is something that, you know, you drop the orange, the juice comes, and then the material goes into some place where it can get.
How about the cold press? How about the new designs? There are some new designs,
No,
you
there
know,
are
the
new
cold
designs, but
press
not all of them
because
are
of
good.
the vitamins.
Yeah. Not all of them are good, right? That's what we need to see. First of all, having an orange juice versus having an orange fruit, which is sustainable, is what you need to see, right? So then the question comes, should I really have an orange juicer needed now? Is a question that one need to ask, right? Why can't you just peel the orange and add, and then put them into a sort of your recycle bin, vegetable waste? You can do a compost. I do compost in my home. So we throw things there. So over a period of time, we get the manure. So those are things getting into your mindset. If somebody throws a bottle or, you know, something, then you should feel, I must go and take it and
How
put
about
it.
a chair? How about a chair?
The chair should be-
You're an industrial designer, right? Industrial designer.
I'm an industrial designer.
You're
yes.
an industrial designer. I see so many industrial designers who designs chairs. I think this is a specific focus. The chair. I don't know why, but I see chair design everywhere. What would you like to say about a chair design? A sustainable, good chair design.
I'm going to upset a lot of furniture designers out here. So I think furniture design in all parts of the world, not just in Turkey, they are giving expressions of their creativity many a time. And majority of them focus on design, not on comfort.
Yes, that's right.
So when you look at a chair, it's great to see in a showroom. Sometimes you get tempted to buy them, but when you bring it to your house and you put up your feet up and stay there, oh my God, you know, I have a problem, right? I got to really. Then you only keep it in your in the showcase of your living room, but you don't use it. It never goes to your family room where you want to sit and enjoy. So to me, that is not a sustainable design, because it's a good design. You really design. You won some awards. It's great, but that's not going to make a user comfortable. So to me, if you're looking at that, you should ask many times, you know, people sit there and then the material, right? We don't like to use leather because of, you know, it causes challenges. The tanneries are using lots of water. Water is a big problem resource in the world. So those are things I don't think the designers are aware of to the extent that they should be aware of. To me, if you're looking at it, oh, somebody is going to beat me up saying that, hey, you're really messing up with my studio, my business of doing furniture design using leather. But if you really leave that part out and think in a global value base.
Did you ever design a chair?
I did not design a chair. Yes, we designed a chair, but it was a dental chair.
Oh, dental chair. Doesn't count.
Doesn't count.
Okay.
Because you go there when there is pain and you don't realize what you're happening. You are given sedation, so you are in the chair, so it's okay. I'm not guilty of that. So.
So how about you, Mr. Ersayın?
I can say the squeezing and let's say orange. Do we need an electricity? No. We can make it by manually.
Yeah.
So we can design that kind I'm talking about for that kind of product portfolios. Maybe we can design that categories which works by manually. That's the easiest one. Number one. The second is the materials, forming, other things, recycling, and other criteria. We can talk on this. And the second one is the chair. I mean, it's not easy to make it. It's not easy an answer, but we do have from UN 17 SDGs. 7 of them are very critical for WDO. It's in front of us. It's not only making a product with the environment friendly and using materials in that categories. I mean,
That's
there's a lot of things.
That's right.
I mean, air, planet, to save the planet, using less material. I mean, partnerships, building up strong partnerships, cities and others. Everybody knows that. So we are the ambassador, or we should be the ambassadors of those criteria in designing cycle of any product portfolio. Whatever we do, whatever we can make it, and whatever we are proceeding, it's acceptable. That it's a profit.
No, I want to add that it's okay to design anything for fashion and other utility, but as designers, we should focus on disposability of what we are producing. It's like we are producing something, so we should be able to clearly articulate how that could be disposed when the use for that product is gone. Not just for furniture, for any product. If you're able to clearly say, visualize how it will be disposed of in a nice manner that could be reused, or it can go to some place where it is. That's what is sustainability.
So the question is design for art and fashion, or design for people? You have to choose this.
No, I would combine. I would design for people with the art and fashion. Because people love to, why am I wearing this? Because I love to wear this kind of socks. Why not I just have only a black colored socks, right? So because human mind is going to be the same, regardless of how and who you meet with, in whichever part of the world. So, but our universe is around people. And when you being people, the want is going to be unlimited. And we cannot say, no, I'm going to not take that into account. You have to take that into account. And while taking that into account, you also have to keep reminding ourselves, saying, what else am I going to add to the universe problem? That's only simple. It's not very difficult. It's not rocket science. Keep in your mind as you design, what is it that you are designing, how useful it is for that's business will take care. If you don't design a product that is useful to the humans, you won't be successful. But having successfully designed a product for the humankind, how is it going to be disposed? You need to tell. People do not know. So we need to tell as a creator of a product how that material can be recycled, reused, disposed of. Then you have done your part to keep the world a better place.
Oylum, regarding your question, I think ergonomics is one of the key factors, especially designing chairs and other sitting units. I am not happy about most of designs, especially when we go to some restaurants. You have to sit like this, like this, and there is an unbelievable empty space behind your back. So why, I don't understand, they choose this kind of things. Or sometimes when you choose furnitures for your home or for your offices, they look nice, but not very comfortable. Actually, I use a Herman Miller in my home. It's very pricey, but it's very comfortable. I think for me, the ergonomics and the comfort is my, in my opinion, it's my priority. I don't know, what do you think? Is ergonomy and comfort, is it your priority, or do you like more design-wise? How do you choose it?
After Mr. Srinivasan's answer, I would like to say both.
Both.
We can do both, because we can
We
do
can
both.
do both. The designers
Art
have the power.
and ergonomy, we can do both, and I would like to search for that. We cannot find it easily, by the way.
Well, I have an answer that you can find anything that you want. The search should be expanded.
Okay. I'll keep this in my
In
mind.
the design history, there are a lot of unbelievably designed, very well designed, historical chairs. They are now all in the museums, and I mean, everybody loves it. We have to look back when they are designed, designed by whom in that period. So some are also reflecting those periods, I mean, from art-wise or aesthetic-wise or the cultural-wise expectations. And the colors, combinations, materials are very, very adjustable with the terms, expectations comes up from that period. So, but these are very live at the museums, very important museums. That's not going to repeat the names, but they take their places in the history, and they bring the that time's DNAs, also the expectations of the designers and the communities to today's people, to their eyes. So
Yeah.
they are important. Yes,
think-
but
I think-
most of them are not so comfortable.
I
Sorry.
think, we have talked enough about chairs. People who are not furniture designers can get bored. So maybe
Yes.
we should ask non-furniture design questions, because we can talk for a whole day about furniture, because any
Yes, that's
museum you go, the collection of chairs are the largest collection. So from 100 years onwards.
Then let's ask if they're comfortable. Rahat mıyız arkadaşlar? Comfortable? Rahat mıyız?
Allah.
Then their chair is ergonomic.
Some questions.
Bu arada ben saati saymıyorum. Biz akşama kadar gidebiliriz böyle, biliyorsun
Evet,
değil
evet.
mi? Sende değil mi saat?
Efendim, Oylum?
Ne kadar zaman
Ha,
tuttuğumuz
söyleyeceğim
sende
şimdi.
değil mi?
Son 2 soru alabiliriz diye düşünüyorum.
Tamam.
Bir tane yukarıdan mı bir soru geldi? Galiba bir soru var. O bayağı bir soru var.
Evet,
soru
bayağı
var.
soru var.
Peki İngilizce mi, Türkçe mi soruyorsunuz? Lütfen buyurun, hanımefendiye söz verelim. Siz, evet. Kendinizi tanıtmak ister
Can you
misiniz?
hear? Biraz daha bağırarak. Socks. Is this happy socks?
Son soruyu
This is
duyamayanlar
happy
için
socks?
çorabı
This is,
nereden buldunuz diye sordu arkadaşımız.
Where did you buy
Nereden
the
aldınız?
socks? She says.
Again, this is, see, I'll answer the second question, which is easy. When I go around looking for things, I don't look for socks and go, because you will never find what you want. I just go around to do other things. If I find it, I mean, some of my colleagues know. So if I find something appealing, it's a human factor, right? If something is appealing, I stop what I'm doing, I just go there and pick up. So I was in Rabat in Morocco, and we were just walking, 6, 7 of us were walking. And as we were walking, we saw on the display a pink color jacket.
You were wearing?
Okay. So we said, like, it was not around, light pink color. So we were saying, like, we're talking, I said, like, while we're talking, I'm not listening, I'm just looking into that shop. Then I said, okay, hold on. They were going ahead. I said, let me just continue. And then I went into the shop. So these guys saw, like, I'm not coming out in even 2 minutes. So they came back. 4 of us ended buying the jacket, and it was an event, but in the evening, all 4 of us were wearing the same big jacket. So it's an impulse buy. So I don't remember where I bought it, but I think I bought it in one of the aimlessly wandering in the malls, right? That's what I did. And what was the first question?
How do you lead the designers?
How do I?
How do you lead the designers as a
How
world
do I lead
organization?
the designers? Why do we need to lead the designers? Okay. As a designer for my own product that I'm designing in my company, right? So that's easy. Because all we do is in my companies, I always tell people, never take the first design that comes to your mind, because you could do better. And what we do in our company, in my company, is we ask like 5 or 6 industrial designers to come up with their ideas. We give like a rapid test, like, within 2 hours you should come with some 20 sketches or so. Then we pick the best. There's a jury within the team which thinks what is the best part of each of the design. We combine them and then make the best decision. So there is a democratic process, and I'm also not very easy to please, so I have to really like the design, because I'm not looking for me, but I'm looking for you as my customer in the future. So I try to predict. That's why we need some experienced people who have been. Why do I say that I'm not happy? Because I've seen in the previous, I come from the land of failures. Okay, if you are in Silicon Valley, this is a very famous cliche. Because companies start, they fail, they learn, they do another one, they fail, they do another one, maybe they succeed. So from that point of view, as designers, we all are doing thousands of sketches within a couple of years of your time. So if you learn what does not work, you just have your memory, muscle memory that tells you this is not going to work for this. Even in the same example of a furniture, if I'm designing a chair for a university, I will not have a lounging chair, because what if the lecturer is as boring as me? They will sleep. So you want them to be upright. This is true. You don't want any backrest. You want to be like this, because we want them to listen. Right? That's one aspect of it. When you want some people, you design for older people. They want to lounge. They want to take rest. So similarly, you see the client, and the client will say, oh, this is good, let's move on, because they want something day after tomorrow. But you should say, no. I am not happy. You may be happy, but I want to go further to see what is it that, will make you happy. Ask questions repeatedly until you exhaust your questions and you exhaust your customers' answers. So that way, you get a good idea of the scope by which you're going to do. Of course, everything is cost, comes to time and money. If you're going to do 20 designs, customer will be happy. He will say, okay, do 20 and I'll pick one. So you're already going to spend a lot of money and time. So you narrow down, say, pick the 3. Don't take the 3. Take one and do the next 3. So like that, over a period of time, you know the sentiment of your market or your client, whatever design you're doing. So that's how you lead a design. It doesn't mean you have to be 15 years to lead a designer. You can be 2 months or 3 months, but you think in your mind, what's the best way for that particular project? I hope I've answered to your question.
Yeah, thank you for the question and the comprehensive answer. Bu arada değerli misafirlerimizden ve arkadaşlarımızdan sosyal medya paylaşımları yapanlar olursa lütfen Design Week Türkiye veya Türkiye olarak burada gösteriliyor. Onu etiketlemeyi unutmayın. Oylumu ve beni de arzu ederseniz ilave ederek etiketleyebilirsiniz. Final question for Mr. Ersayın. Design Turkey Awards found their owners today. How can we use design more efficiently in our country in order to compete more strongly in the world? What would you say about this?
Okay. Before going in to Design Week Turkey, I would like to tell something about more design weeks globally. there are more or less, before COVID-19, more than 80, 85 global design weeks worldwide we have. In Latin America, South Asia especially, also in Europe. Why do we need design weeks? That's another thing. Another thing is the design evaluation systems. There are a lot of globally well-organized design evaluation systems. There are also very smart designed and communicated iconic logo types behind this system also. Design societies need to gather together to meet up at the different part of the world together. Why? We are all connected to each other and we need to learn a lot of things from each other. Design-wise, socio-cultural-wise, and technology-wise, and other things. So, within this perspective, in Istanbul, starting from the 2008, we brought this idea at the Turkish Exporters Assembly on Ministry of Trade. Why don't we organize that kind of organizations in Turkey? Why? We are very strong at the manufacturing. There are a lot of products manufacturing around, well-designed, and the companies are investing a lot. If we do have that kind of organizations and we indicate under a certain well-designed brand, then our products and manufacturing companies, they start to use the logo on the product. It's very valuable. So let us show this value from the chain to our potential customers and societies. So Design Turkey started from that time. Yesterday and a couple of days ago, in 2 days, an international jury evaluated nearly 240 products, and 45 of them are awarded here. It brought what? It brought the high sensitivity for the investor and for the manufacturers. I mean, to share their from wallet more on design and innovation, to be able to make a best design, better design, well-designed products under the certain umbrella of Turquality, which they are already started to market their brands globally, supported from the Turquality years and years ago. So design was the last part. Then all the award winners became much more visible in the local societies and the international markets, exhibitions, fairground areas, communication materials. So then it came up then from the made in Turkey identity to designed in Turkey, something like that. So it brought the idea to also the societies. Why do we invest for design, and what we have to do make much well-designed products. Then export and business integration is another value for those design societies. We also, as a designers, learned a lot from the also manufacturing part and businessmen. Design plus business, it works well. If they are alone, there is a problem. Then within this perspective, I can tell you that the ratio of the well-designed and good-designed products from this geography for the export markets is still going up. Maybe I do have to repeat the one criteria behind the application. Maybe most of the audience shouldn't know. We identified 3 critical values behind the product. One is the designer, second is the manufacturer, the third is the brand owner.
Sure.
Any of them is, only one of them is a Turkish, can apply to this system. So it means that a Turkish designer, a foreign company, a foreign brand, it works. Let's say a Swedish designer for a Turkish company, it works, something like that. So that was a good transition from making only a good product to the globally accepted, under the global understanding of the design products. That brought us to the stakeholders and the manufacturing industries, exporters, and all the societies. Those were the, according to me, main win-win points, Srini.
Thank you very much for coming. Thank you for your participation. Mr. Ersayın, it's always a pleasure to listen to you. And Mr. Srinivasan, it's a great pleasure to meet you. And dear friends, dear young designers, thank you for joining us. And with a big applause, we finish our panel. And of course, Hakan Çelik.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you again. Şimdi Sayın İsmail Gülle'yi mi davet
Sayın
ediyoruz?
İsmail Gülle'yi davet edelim. Please, let's have a picture. And I would like to invite Mr. İsmail Gülle. Hoş geldiniz. Türkiye Rahatçılar Meclisi Başkanımız Sayın İsmail Gülle ve Sayın Sertaç Ersayın TMK Başkanımız birlikteler.
Arkadaşlar isim animasyonlarını da
Sayın
açar
Srini
mısınız lütfen?
Srinivasan'a plaketini takdim ediyor. Thank you once again, Mr. Srinivasan, for joining us, for sharing your thoughts and feelings with us. It's a great pleasure to have you.
For Turkey to become the 7th exporter, that's a huge, huge advantage. Very, very much. Wishing you the very best.
Thank you very much.
very much.
Thank you very much. It's a great pleasure to meet you.
Great audience here.
Together, maybe three of you. Three of you. I can hold it for you if you like. Okay.
Together.
That's better.
Yeah.
Çok teşekkür ederim.
Sertaç.
Sağ olun. Sağ olun.
Sertaç. Together.
Evet, ben de sizlerden bir alkış
Şu
daha
ben
rica
kullandım
edeyim
ben.
bu harika panel için. Sevgili Hakan Çelik, bana bu panelde eşlik ettiğin için
Çok teşekkürler.
Çok teşekkür
Oylum,
ediyorum.
istersen biz de bir toplu fotoğrafta yer alalım. Başkanım bir dakika lütfen gitmeyin. Oylum'la
let's-
beraber.
Evet, Mr. Srinivasan.
Last picture.
How about us? How about us?
Evet.
We would like to join. We would like to join. Thank you.
Evet.
Thank you once again. Oh, thank you. Thank you.
Çok
Thank you very
teşekkürler.
much.
Sağ olun. Şimdi